Another word for happy by a guy in Manera.
Wait.
How typical. Just when Caleb had proclaimed that he was done being stupid, here he was, tossing and turning his bed and unable to speak. Whatever happened to being his own person and guarding his heart? He felt like bits of himself were floating in the air, time traveling to the first time he and Ezra met. Ezra, sunlight winking in his hair as he jogged to retrieve the volleyball that had landed at Caleb's feet. Ezra, inviting Caleb to play with his friends. Caleb could have refused, quickly putting an end to their story. But something in Ezra's smile had made him say yes. And this was where he ended up. Restless and unsure and euphoric. Especially now that they've traded romantic histories. Would he see Ezra again? Caleb threw that question out of his mind, punched the pillow, and resolutely laid his head on it. He would not obsess. This was his era of self-love and self-discovery. Getting hung up on someone who had no plans with him was out of the question. Caleb had been there, done that, got it good. The landline rang, rudely interrupting the soothing hum of air conditioning. Caleb nearly jumped out of his skin. It was halfway on the second ring when he picked it up from the tiny table that separated his bed from his mom's. Hello?
Yes? I got the right room number. You have a minute?
When Caleb found his voice, he could only manage a whisper. Ezra? There was a pause before Ezra's soft chuckle filled the line.
Were you expecting someone else?
No, of course not. Caleb glanced at his mother who didn't even stir in her sleep. I can stay up home. We're leaving early tomorrow.
No problem. Just drop by the cottage. I want to give you...
For some reason, that brief hesitation in Ezra's voice caused a reckless leap in his pulse. Okay, see you. Caleb got up and hurriedly changed into his fresh clothes. Once outside, he forced himself to walk slowly. But his heart pounded as if he were sprinting this short distance. In a matter of minutes, he was knocking on the door of Ezra's much bigger cottage. When the door was thrown open, Caleb expected the usual noise fest from Ezra's friends. Instead, there was only Ezra, gilded in moonlight, alone in the doorway of what looked like an empty room.
Hey!
The stone was light.
I'd invite you in, but it's a total mess.
He closed the door behind him and motioned to the porch.
My friends are still out. I told them that I'll call them.
Caleb sat on one of the wicker chairs. The cushion was damp and rough with sand. He gave a slight shiver, not knowing what to say. Ezra took the seat next to him.
So what time are you eating tomorrow?
5 a.m. Mom wants to avoid traffic. Ezra bobbed his head more than the required number of times. The nocturnal hush stretching around them. In the distance, the waves rumbled. Caleb could feel the awkward moment pressing in on him, demanding words to fill the silence. He decided to go first. What he planned to do the rest of the summer. Ezra flicked something on his shoulder.
Training. We're aiming for the championships this year.
Another long pause.
You?
Driving lessons, my mom insists. Caleb stole a look at Ezra's face, expecting a reaction. There was none, so he continued. Practice my frisbee throws and play the piano along. I'm thinking of taking extra classes this year. Again, Ezra nodded. His eyes glued to the sky. Caleb followed his gaze and found the moon, full and bright, and bursting to tell him something. The rest of their conversation continued along a similar vein. in fits and starts, with spells of being tongue-tied in between. The uphill battle exhausted Caleb. When another bout of silence came that made the insides of his skin itch, Caleb shot to his feet. Well, I have to go, he said, feeling a mix of relief and disappointment. Ezra turned, his eyes as big as two moons, as if he had just realized Caleb was there. He too stood up.
Wait, I have to give you something.
Caleb waited for Ezra to get something from his room, his pocket, or wherever he had kept the gift he promised. But Ezra simply stood still, his eyes softly glinting in the moonlight. Ezra was tall, Caleb thought, even taller than he was. He gave another shake. Ezra walked closer. 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 Still. Caleb forgot to breathe. The kiss was as light as the ocean breeze. A gentle caress, not weighed down by expectation or commitment. It was a kiss that lived in the moment. It was over in a second.